Our other big story on Global Pulse tonight. In just the last few days, the United States has significantly increased its military presence in the Middle East, sending additional naval ships, fighter jets, and air defense systems towards the Gulf region in response to rapidly intensifying tensions with Iran. The movement of these assets, including the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln and escort warships, drew particular attention after President Donald Trump touted the deployment as a massive armada headed towards Iran, sending a stark warning to Tehran about its nuclear program and internal repression. Trump's language on social media platforms and to reporters has been deliberately forceful. He has described the Armada as poised to fulfill its mission with violence if necessary and insisted that Iran needs to return to serious negotiation to curb its nuclear ambitions or face consequences. In Washington, Trump and some senior US officials framed the buildup as deterrence. They argue that it protects Americans and regional partners from potential Iranian retaliation and underscores the seriousness of US demands for a nuclear agreement that would prevent Tehran from developing weapons-grade materials. US diplomats have said additional forces are meant to provide a defensive baseline in light of Iranian missiles and drones that can threaten US troops stationed across regional bases. But even within the US government, there are mixed signals. While Trump emphasizes readiness for military action, other Pentagon officials have signaled that actual strikes are not imminent and that the military posture is designed as much to protect allies and US forces as to prepare options. From Tehran's perspective, the sweeping US naval and aerial buildup combined with repeated Trump threats is viewed as escalatory and provocative. Iranian leaders have slammed the moves as interference in Iran's internal affairs and strategic intimidation. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has responded with some of the harshest rhetoric yet, warning that any US military attack on Iran would spark a full-blown regional war. He has reiterated that Tehran does not seek conflict but will respond decisively with a firm blow against aggression and that such a war would engulf neighboring countries and reshape the Middle East. Tehran has also characterized the nationwide protests that erupted late last year, initially over economic hardship and the collapse of the Iranian currency, as a foreign-engineered coup attempt, a narrative used to justify the regime's brutal crackdown. Khamenei called these demonstrations seditious, linking them to ongoing US-Iran tensions. Iranian military commanders have signaled preparedness to defend their territory, even putting a finger on the trigger should hostilities break out, and have scheduled joint naval exercises in the Strait of Hormuz, a vital choke point for global oil transport. The response from regional governments has been cautious. Countries like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, and Egypt have publicly urged de-escalation and warned that a clash between the United States and Iran could destabilize an already volatile Middle East further. The groundwork for the current standoff stretches back months. The nationwide protests in Iran in December began as economic demonstrations but quickly broadened into widespread social unrest amid a crushing economic downturn. International human rights groups and some foreign governments say thousands have been killed or detained in the regime's crackdown. Trump publicly expressed support for the Iranian protesters and linked Iran's internal human rights violations to broader US policy goals, including pressuring Tehran on its nuclear program. Analysts warn that any US airstrikes on Iranian territory, for instance targeting nuclear facilities or missile infrastructure, would almost certainly provoke significant Iranian retaliation, not just against American forces in the Gulf, but potentially against US allies, shipping lanes, and allied infrastructure across the region. Iran's extensive network of proxy forces in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen could be activated, leading to attacks on US bases or partners in those theaters. Tehran also might attempt to disrupt global energy markets by threatening the Strait of Hormuz, through which a large share of the world's oil supply flows. Even limited conflict risks drawing in regional powers and triggering a broader conflagration. For instance, countries like Israel and Saudi Arabia, while not confirmed participants in US military action, are already deeply concerned about Iran's nuclear potential and could be drawn further into hostilities. Diplomacy continues behind the scenes. Several regional actors, including Qatar and Turkey, are reported to be pushing for negotiations to avert outright conflict, while the US still claims it prefers a negotiated settlement to war. But at the same time, Trump maintains the time is running out for Iran to agree to a meaningful deal. The current US military buildup near Iran, branded a formidable armada by President Trump, marks one of the most serious international standoffs in recent years. While US and allied forces position themselves defensively and push for negotiations, Iran's leadership warns that any attack could ignite a regional war with far-reaching consequences across the Middle East. The world now watches closely and anxiously, with experts warning that a calculated deterrent could unintentionally spiral into an uncontrollable conflict. That's all the time we have on this edition of Global Pulse. Thanks for watching.